If at this moment you could completely calm your body, your thoughts, and your emotions, you would instantly become aware of your true self, the soul, and of your amazing body of light exalted with the joy of God. The soul would be established in its original state, and isn't it strange that the joy of the Creator is within us, yet we cannot feel it? The reason why we do not know and experience this bliss is that we are intoxicated with ego feeling called Chitta in Sanskrit. If I put a curtain before me, I will still be here, but you won't be able to see me. Take the curtain away and you will see me. Likewise, the screen of our emotions arising from the ego, ahamkara, or body consciousness, hides God's joy. Remove the screen through meditation and you will behold that joy. Although our real nature is calmness, we have put on a mask of restlessness, the agitated state of our own consciousness resulting from the stimuli of emotions. We are not that mask though. We are pure, calm spirit in reality. And it is time for us to remember who we are, namely the blessed soul, a true reflection of spirit. And in this video, we will learn how to take off that mask of restlessness and face our true reality. Whenever we become angry or filled with hate, we masquerade as evil. People sometimes become so angry that they are ready to kill someone, and oftentimes do. They don't want to in actuality though. Their felt emotion, their anger, makes them think they do. Therefore, it is not good to remain in the ordinary state of human consciousness, which is subject to violent emotions, and to escape it, we have to dissolve the feelings and emotions connected with the body. Now, meditation is the way to escape that. So, we learn that emotions obscure the radiance and expression of the soul. And for a long time, we have thought of ourselves as having certain qualities with their corresponding feelings and emotions that are invoked by our association with them. Patanjali, the great sage who systemized the path of yoga over 2,200 years ago, says we are masquerading as these passions and desires because we have done it for so many incarnations that we have utterly forgotten our real nature. Once you realize that each day you are only impersonating different characteristics based on fluctuating feelings, you will not be the same person. You will be able to cast off these delusive states, and when you realize that anger and such passions are not part of your true nature, they will no longer have any control over you. Every person is innately wonderful. They have only to rid themselves of the mask of ego consciousness. The very nature of restlessness, which darkens our consciousness with emotions and obscures the light and joy essence of the soul, is such that by the time we are feeling pleasure from one thing, we are already looking for something else. It's a persistent discontent stirred by feeling. But bliss, the joy of spirit hidden in our soul, is always new, continuously replenished in our consciousness. Because it gives complete satisfaction. There is no more restlessness in us. I hope you understand the value of what I'm telling you today, because it is the way to freedom from all sorrow. Next, we should understand that all form of indulgence also enslaves the soul. Perfect control of feeling makes you master of yourself. And although this, we know, is a tall order, we can start by never being addicted to anything or bound by any habit. Drinking coffee doesn't necessarily mean that you are a slave to it. But if you have to have your coffee to get started in the morning, which unfortunately includes me at this present time, but I'm working on it, then indeed feeling has enslaved you. As soon as you say, no, I don't need it, let that be the end of your bondage. We should never allow anything to bind us. We can then eat or drink something enjoyable and later dismiss all desire for it. The thought of having it is then gone in an instant. Generally, the saints of ancient India advise us to start by not catering to likes and dislikes, and later give that same training to our children so that they themselves do not become slaves to their feelings. You may say, if we got rid of our feelings and personal preferences, won't we lose what makes us human? Is that really what Patanjali and the saints of India teach us? Not at all. They know that when you have mastery of your feelings, you abide in your true state, the true state of the self. And the soul is bliss, wisdom, love, and peace, and it is to be so happy that no matter what you are doing, you enjoy it. Whether you are having spinach or pizza for dinner, it doesn't matter. Isn't that much better than to stumble along in the world, restlessly unable to find lasting satisfaction in anything? Of course. When centered in our true self, we still take care of every task and enjoy all good things with the joy of God, filled with His intoxicating bliss. You joyfully perform all actions, right? I will tell you about a pitfall on the spiritual journey to be aware of. This is something I personally struggled with 4 or 5 years ago, and it is to become so interested in spiritual affairs that you lose interest in anything else, especially in those tedious earthly tasks you have to perform daily, meaning regular work or chores. But such an attitude hides mental laziness under a cloak of false spirituality. You won't be able to ascend earthly reality while resisting earthly reality. We all have heard it said often, and it still remains forever true, what you resist persists. So, being a balanced spiritual human being involves not avoiding any of our earthly responsibilities, and at some point we may feel inspired to leave our workplace, let's say, to have more time to focus on our spiritual realization. But remember, we live in a time of participation. The enlightened master is continuously involved in acts of service to the evolutions of this planet. So to seclude yourself in some cave or on top of a Himalayan mountain might not be aligned with the spiritual mission you're here to give. We didn't create this world, God did. So why should we only live for ourselves? To live for the self is the root of all misery. And God, of course, wants to extend His blessings to everyone, especially to those in need. And we are His instruments, His mouthpiece and His extended hands. I found that truly great masters are very interested in the world, but without attachment. When Master Sri Yukteswar was given something valuable or nice, he was conscientious about looking after it, but if it was broken, he would only laugh. He would say, "My care is over. It has taken so much of my attention." He was truly non-attached, and his disciple and famous student Paramahansa Yogananda was the same way. He said that he appreciated whatever God gave him, but he didn't miss it when it was gone. Someone once gave him a beautiful coat and a hat that were a very expensive outfit, and then he began to worry and to be concerned about not tearing or soiling it, and it made him uncomfortable. He said, "Lord, why did you give me this bother?" And one day, as he was to lecture in Trinity Hall in Los Angeles, when he arrived at the hall and started to remove his coat, the Lord told him, "Get your belongings from the pockets." And so he did, and when he returned to the cloakroom after his lecture, the coat was gone. This made him angry, and when someone said, "Never mind, we will get you another coat," he replied, "I am not angry because someone lost the coat, but because whoever took it didn't take the hat that matches it too." I think we can learn a great deal from their attitudes, especially in the modern age of materialism and the glorification of possessions. Don't let your feelings rule you. How can you be happy if you are fussing about your clothes and other possessions all the time? Dress neatly in clean clothes, of course, and then forget about them. Clean your house, for example, and then go on with your life. We, of course, should not worry at all. Why should we? People who are sensitive feel our nervousness. So we should do our best and then relax. Let things go on in a natural way rather than to force them. Everyone around us will then be relaxed too. Now, activity is merely the expression of life, but some people are constantly so active that they make themselves miserable. Exploding with emotions. The ordinary person is like a unstilled pendulum swinging back and forth from one extreme to another, always moving, always restless. This way of being is hardly more sophisticated than the modus operandi of, let's say, a wild animal. The yogi, on the other hand, is always calm, centered in his true nature, like a stilled pendulum. And when he is active, he can go very fast, but when he stops, he's centered again in inner and outer calmness. When something goes wrong, let's not be upset about it. Why should we? We probably did our best, and yes, we will try to do better at some point, but we won't let adversity disturb our calmness. Isn't that a wonderful thought? The yogi thinks always for thee and for thine. He is addressing in reverence Brahman, the highest god or reality. If you're struggling with some of the Vedic terms I'm using, check out my video where I explain some of them right here. Now the yogi says, I am here in this world for only a little time. Why should I form strong attachments at all? I don't know exactly why I'm here, but God knows, and I will work for Him. I will try to follow not my own will, but what He wants me to do. It was this surrender to the highest wisdom that gave Yeshua the strength to say, Father, if thou be willing, remove this cup from me. Nevertheless, thine will be done, not mine. From this we might falsely harbor the idea that we should not exercise what we could call our own free will, but if we didn't use our own free will, we would soon die, because the will power operates necessary physical and mental processes. Now, the subject of free will is what we're going to dip into at some future point on this channel, so stay tuned, it's very interesting. It is right to use our personal will, but it should be guided by the wisdom and direction from Brahman or God, which is higher intelligence. I'm not trying to sell you on a certain idea of God, but you can't change the reality of being that we are subordinate to a higher force. And there are laws in this universe which we are only beginning to fathom, and God is law. It's also extremely necessary to differentiate between God as the loving father or mother and God as law in action. Because you see, God is so consistent within His framework, within His law, that He doesn't deviate one iota in His activity, spiritually speaking and related to the world of form, even when His beloved children are praying and personally willing things to be in a different way. That's the consistency of God. And if you use your will wrongly in selfish pursuits, you will fall into error and suffer the consequences. This is what it means to live in harmony with and in accordance to cosmic law, and to express higher willpower as opposed to lower personal will. Krishna said that those who have mastered their minds become engrossed in infinite wisdom. Freed thus from the chain of rebirth, they attain the state beyond sorrow, which the Buddhists call nirvana. A little side note, yes, I do believe in reincarnation and that we have been here before. If you want to know why, I invite you to check out my video, why I personally believe in reincarnation, right here. When you attain freedom from slavery to feeling, you become spiritually sensitive, but you are no longer oversensitive to physical existence. You feel pain, yes, but you are untouched by it. You see this world, but know it isn't the ultimate reality. You are above every limitation of body and mind, centered in the calm nature of your soul. But in a way we are trained at a very early age by society that this lack of emotional control is normal. But in my opinion, it's actually better to not conceive children unless you're willing to give them proper training. Because by withholding the right kind of discipline, you make them miserable all their lives. And they acquire habits that prevent them from being their true selves. Good habits are friends that help us, while bad habits can influence us to become like living zombies or demons. To remain spiritually calm doesn't mean that you always smile and agree with everyone no matter what they say, that even though you sense the truth, you choose not to communicate it to avoid conflict. This is going to the extreme. Those who try in this way to be a people pleaser with the desire of getting praise for their good nature do not necessarily have control of feeling. It is good to be pleasant and agreeable when your behavior is sincere, but agreeing with others because you are afraid to speak the truth cannot be called emotional self-control. Whoever has control of feeling follows truth, shares truth wherever he can, and avoids unnecessarily annoying anyone who wouldn't be receptive anyway. He knows when to speak and when to remain silent, but he never compromises his own ideals and inner peace, and such a man is a force for great good in this world. See yourself as a soul or a divine child of the Most High, and not as the physical body. The truth is, we have all become like the proverbial prodigal son from the Bible. We have wandered away into the dark lanes of bad habits and have forgotten how to keep the joy of God centered in our hearts. When the soul is not in its natural state, it puts on the garb of moods born of human feelings, but if we learn to remain inwardly with the divine, we live and work in the blissful state of our true nature. In ordinary consciousness, we think we are mortal human beings, but when we disengage ourselves from the ego, we see that we are spirit. Delusion or Maya causes us to imagine disease, fears, and all other limiting conditions of the body and mind, but can you imagine that you are not a man or a woman? Yet this is 100% true. In the higher states of our real nature, the consciousness of sex and gender is virtually non-existent. The ordinary man thinks, I and my body are one. I am so many pounds of flesh and weight and with senses and feelings, but the divine man thinks, I and my Father are one. So the divine man sees that his body is a product of the creative light of God passing through the world of Maya or delusion expressed as the body. He knows that he is not the body, we're only acting out a role on earth, and as William Shakespeare said, all the world is a stage, and all the men and women are merely players. When an individual doesn't remember his omnipresent blissful self, he masquerades with the costume of felt perceptions and conceives himself as a human being limited to the body and subject to its sufferings and eventually death. Now, see what a terrible transformation takes place. Throughout our life, we search for happiness, for the happiness of that blissful self which we already are, and material satisfaction always leaves us wanting more. And while we're here, we should be aware and accept the fact that it is part of our psychological restlessness, wanting to avoid stillness or meditation. Understanding, however, that this practice of stillness is needed in order to return to our true self and the expression of that self, even within this lifetime, we should strive to exercise that stillness regularly. Studying religions, esoteric wisdom, or even New Age thought is not enough to actualize ourself. For although you may get to the door of realization through knowledge or the intellect, you don't take the next step and actually open the door and go in. Now, spiritual development is beyond the intellect. You can open the door of realization only through deep and daily and regular meditation. Practice it and then retain its effects. What we feel in meditation we must hold on to and try to carry it into our daily activities, even if we overcome our stubborn, devilish resistance to the practice of stillness and establish half-hearted meditation as a matter of habit. As soon as we are finished with the ritual or the mechanics of our practice, we go back to our old state of being. But it is necessary to break through to the peace and joy of meditation and then hold on to the calm after effects. Then only we will change ourselves. Lastly, I will add a little yogic wisdom for you, which without a single doubt is backed by scientific documentation as well. The body reacts to the changes of the 4 transitional periods of the day, meaning early morning, the period around sunrise, and noon, evening around sunset, and at night between the hours roughly between 9 and midnight. And it's very beneficial to meditate during these times. Deep meditation and perfect control of feeling by holding on to the calm after effects of meditation lead to what is called Samadhi, the ecstasy of self-realization and oneness with God. But the ecstasy of Savikalpa Samadhi, in which you enjoy bliss within but lose external awareness of the body and the world, is not enough. What we want is Nirvikalpa Samadhi, or conscious ecstasy. That is the highest state, in which you remain outwardly fully conscious and active, as well as inwardly fully perceptive of your God union. It took Paramahansa Yogananda a long time to achieve that supreme level of consciousness. Lahiri Mahasha and Master Sri Yukteswar also used to be continuously in that state. In Nirvikalpa Samadhi, you can perform all of your duties and face all the tests of life without ever becoming disturbed. Thus, success in meditation is the only real answer to the mystery of overcoming human nature, so that the soul can become established in its true reality, centered ever in bliss and free from ego-created disturbances of emotions. So, enjoy meditating and have a great week.